Good evening, everyone. Try not to keep you too long. I know these seats after an hour and 10 minutes or whatever it is start to get a little bit painful and you feel a bit twitchy. So my name's Peter Sayre from a company called Tharsis Group. I often hear Peter who from where when I call people. We're a relatively small manufacturing company up in the northeast of England, as you may tell from my accent. We've been around since the 60s. Started off as a fabricator, and we've developed on over the last few years to get into the world of electromechanical product build, really looking at the value chain, moving up the value chain. There's a lot of people out there bending bits of metal, so really want to move up the value chain and use the skills in the business. The management team all come from OEMs, fairly fast-moving organisations. Myself, and I realise that seeing this up on here with sales director next to it is a really negative thing at this time of night because everyone thinks I'm going to pitch to you. Honestly, I'm really going to try not to at all. My background, in the early 80s I started work with GEC, large OEM at the time, who unfortunately no longer exist. Moved on to other OEMs, working predominantly in delivering projects into manufacture. And that was very inwardly focused. Never used to see a customer in those days. Didn't know what a customer looked like. So in the mid-90s, I jumped out of a large organisation and went to a small organisation with 12 people in, turning 100 and something thousand a year, next to nothing. And we built the business up, early adopter of stereolithography. We built the business to $4.5 million in 4 years. I left there as operations manager. So that was great. And somewhere along the line, I got mugged, and I ended up in sales. Don't know how it happened. Ended up in sales. It wasn't planned at all. And I worked in the automotive industry in the commercial kind of sales role for about 5 years. And 6 years ago, I ended up at Tharsis. So that's me. I'm trying to validate that I'm not really a salesman. That's what that pitch is all about. As a business, it took us 4 years to get to OEDM, Original Equipment Design and Manufacture. And it's a hell of a mouthful. And we went through design for reality. Turn your product into reality. We went through all kinds of things, contract manufacturing plus. We finally hit on it this year in around about April time, because what we're doing is we're building full product for people. So we're an original equipment manufacturer. We're also developing the product. So we had to fit that in somewhere. So OEDM. It fits well, and we sit between an OEM and an ODM. The real difference in the whole terminology is what we do is we develop IP for our customers. We don't hold on to it, we develop it in partnership for our customers. We have a range of customers in the business. We work with OEMs, people like BAE, Rapiscan Systems, 3M. A lot of that's commodity work, where we're constantly fighting to get up the value chain with those guys. We work with a couple of companies in the service sector, and we work with new tech, new startups. And what we do there is we try to help those guys to get to manufacture. We've got to pick our horse as well. There's a lot of people out there trying to get there, and there's a lot of different projects. So we look at the kind of technologies, do they fit with us well, and is there a good match going forward? There's obviously got to be a commercial return for us. But we're working with people in hydrogen generation with ITM Power. We're working on electric vehicle chargers. We're working on energy storage systems, a company in the south called Red T. We believe OEDM is a valid process, and we're really seeking to push OEDM and get it out there for discussion and get people to say we're a competitor at OEDM rather than just plugging Tharsis. It works, that's good. So, the BIS report, Foresight report, came out last month, which is really good reading. Quite surprisingly, it's really good reading. And it's a detailed study into what successful manufacturing is going to look like going up to 2050, I think it goes as far as. And the terminology is very, very interesting when you read it. It's talking about faster, more responsive, and closer to the customer. So we're all aware of large bureaucratic businesses, and like I say, when I started my working life, I could never see a customer who don't ever see the end customer. It's really important that every link in the chain understands what the guy at the end of the road wants. Critical to what we do. I'm not sure whether you can see that. I hope you can. So some of the words, very interesting definitions on manufacturing from McKinsey & Co and Deloitte. They talk about the new era of manufacturing will be marked by highly agile, networked enterprises. Sounds good. Really like that. They're talking about the world needs to integrate diverse sets of ideas. Goes on to talk about products and services, self-morphing, resource webs, systems thinking, and supply chain excellence. All right, lots of nice, catchy phrases there. But really, if you roll them into an organisation that is really looking to get faster, more responsive, and closer to customers, you're getting pretty much what people want. So the typical traditional value chain, and again we've pinched this from the Foresight report. Nothing original with us, unfortunately. So this goes from research and development all the way through production, the green block in the centre, to disposal of product. We're really going to focus on the first 4 elements. Through to production. It's really pointless getting there if it's the wrong product, if it's there too late, and if it's the wrong cost. And everybody can point to examples of where that's happened. Everybody knows them in manufacturing. We've seen the products that have failed somewhere in the process. It applies to OEMs, it applies to SMEs. Somebody just getting into business. OEMs, if you look at OEMs, I was in BE on Scotswood Road, who are unfortunately closing. You go in there 20, 30 years ago, raw materials in one end, a tank out the other end. Doesn't work like that anymore. We pull in the specialists. So we pull in specialists in design, in prototyping, in manufacture. The OEMs stick to what they're good at. They stick to where their IP is, and they get specialists to work in other areas. The SME, or the new startup, has a real interesting quandary. What are we going to do? We've taken our baby through proof of concept, we've had the funding, we've got it working. Who the hell do I give it to now? Real interesting problem. And it's all about trust and weighing up the risk. So you've got to find somebody who's going to deliver that in the right way, but who's also going to believe in your product and understand what your end customer wants. It's absolutely critical. We shouldn't just look at this as being production. It's it's the route to the end customer. And we go back to the question, who can actually see the end customer? When you sat in the middle of an OEM, in the good old days, you didn't ever know what a customer looked like. How many interface points are in the current value chain? If you look at a project that spins out now and somebody goes to a design consultancy to get it designed, it's thrown over the wall to a manufacturer to be manufactured, and if it goes wrong, who takes the blame? Is it the consultancy? Is it the contract manufacturer? There's a lot of finger pointing goes on. And there's many cases that we've seen over the last 3 or 4 years where it's fallen down in 1 or 2 areas. And the worst thing that I've heard is, well, we made it to drawing. Okay, that's great if you're a new startup and your product doesn't work. Well, we made it to your drawing. You've really got to believe in the functionality of the product and what it's got to do at the end of the day. So we had a company, where they're based, in the Cambridge area, and they developed a new project. And their chairman of this new startup also had his own manufacturing business. Great, we've got someone to make it for us. So they made the initial prototypes, got them in the field, and hey presto, they didn't work. And the feedback from the business was, we made them to drawing. Fantastic. And you've got a link there of the chairman's chair of both businesses, and it still fell down. That's not where we need to go in the UK for successful manufacturing. We've got to do better than that. We've got the brains in the country, and all we've got to do is deliver it. We've lost all the high volume work, but for what we've got to do it well. So I'm really, really hoping that this comes out on here. I don't know whether you can see that. I might go a little bit off-piste, which in Newcastle means something totally different, to run through this. So, and I hope can you hear me? Everyone still got me? Yeah? Everyone's gone to sleep. Right, so at this end, what we've got is we've got your customer. Okay, and along the bottom, this is your typical value chain, where we start at the suppliers at this end, we've got the manufacturer here, we've got your brand or your IP owner, and you've got your customer. Fantastic, chain works really well. You've got a lot of points where it can break down. And what we do, and the whole original equipment design and manufacture, is really coming from this guy at the end, from the customer. So the customer has got his requirements, they feed into the brand and the IP owner. They develop a product strategy, In the traditional world, they get the product spec, fire it out to a consultant, who design it, send it to a contract manufacturer, and somewhere along the line, my guess is, it would go wrong. And every process has got areas where that happens. And we're not squeaky clean, our process falls down as well. So what we do is, when we're engaging with the brand or IP owners, we sit down with them with a product spec, and we tear it up and we put it in the bin, and we start again. And we say, okay guys, what does this guy really want? If you come to us and you've got new technology and you've got your IP, that's great. We don't touch that IP. We package the IP. So we'll do everything in it, looking at serviceability, looking at through life requirements of the product, getting that bit right. Somebody comes to us with an existing product they want to redevelop, we throw away the rule book and we start again. And we really question, what does the end customer want? What are his real requirements? And we challenge the owner of the product. If you don't challenge, you don't get the best product. Because how many people have been involved in the development? In our organisation, we've got something like 150 people, each with 2 hands and a brain. And we use that resource to help develop our product. So we sit down, we challenge the product, and in here we have collaborative product development, which is absolutely key. That together we develop the product. That we, as the future manufacturer, believe in this product, so he gets what he wants. They might not really get what they think they want. This guy's going to get what he wants. And if we get it right, we've got a virtuous circle. The more he buys, the more we make. If we ever say we've made it to drawing, that doesn't ever get to him. That just fails. It's pointless. If you're going to engage with somebody who's developed a product, put the heart and soul into it, and we believe in it and back it, we should never say we've built the drawing. And no manufacturer should. This guy deserves what he deserves. These guys have developed it, and we're going to manufacture it. So we come out of a collaborative product development. We develop IP. The IP belongs to our customer. We develop that into spec-focused design through technology integration, testing and validation. So we look after everything from design through to manufacture. But we earn our revenue from ongoing manufacturing agreements, with the absolute key is this end. I guess there's 2 absolute keys in there. So we've got at the other end, we've got suppliers. We're not experts in everything. People are good at what they're good at. Okay? The OEMs have learned it these days, so outsource everything. We're exactly the same. We're no different. So if we're looking at getting the best motor technology in the world, we're not going to go out and develop the best motors. We're going to go out to the company that's developing the best electric motors. If we're looking for the best pump technology, we're going to go to the company that's got the best pump technology. We had an example of a company who wanted to transfer all of their manufacture of an existing product from Germany back to the UK. And they want us to redevelop it from scratch. And we found the best pump in the world. And it was in the US, in a small manufacturer, and it was absolutely perfect for their product. However, the supply chain risk, you just couldn't live with it. So we had to design in the second best pump in the world. Didn't make any sense to go with the best pump in the world, so we went the second best pump in the world, and we made it totally serviceable. We made it so it was plug and play, and it could be easily swapped out if there was an issue. Bit of common sense. That's all engineering is common sense. So the keys to what we do, exclusivity. In Tharsis, on this model, we only work with one customer in one sector. You can't unlearn what you've learned. If we work with ITM Power, we don't work with anybody else in hydrogen generation without talking to ITM Power. We develop IP for our customers, as I've said. Absolutely critical. We develop the IP. Okay, we might go down as being the inventor, but the IP belongs to our customers. So, coming back to some of the earlier comments, this all feeds back to resource webs, systems thinking, supply chain excellence. It's all rolled in. It's all common sense, and it's all came out of the Foresight report. Faster, more responsive, and closer to customers. Yeah, we're really close to the customer. We got a project from startup to prototype in 4 months to full production in 6 months. The market window had to be 6 months. There was compromises, but that was agreed fully with the customer because that was the critical thing to get it into the market. Slightly different business model. I'm getting a nod and a wink here, so it looks like I'm running over. Right, very quickly, a relevant Cleantech case study. So we came across this company in the Reading area who've got flow cell battery technology for energy storage. They own the core IP. They need somebody to develop the product outside of them. We basically, to assist them in funding with DEC, the big issue that you've got as a new startup is you haven't got manufacturing facilities, or if you have, you're trying to convince someone to fund you when you've got your product on a desk in the back of your workshop. We helped with this company. There are 4 guys in a small workshop. We have 90,000 square foot across 3 facilities. DEC came to us and we presented jointly to DEC, and they were awarded the contract for a 1 megawatt hour system that's going to go on the Isle of Giga. We've gone through design phase and we're going to go to manufacture. The role of us going forward is we'll be system designer, and we'll go through validation, testing, manufacture and further product development for them. But it really is, we're in it for the long term, and really it keeps on proving the faster, more responsive and closer to the customer. Absolute key. Thank you very much for your time. I think I've had a number of winks now, so I don't know what that's all about. But if anybody's got any questions, I'm going to hang around later. I didn't put loads of pictures up of products that we do, because I didn't want it to be too much of a sales pitch. It really is all around OEDM. And whether it's Tharsis or whether it's somebody else, I really believe that UK manufacturing has got to get to grips with this and get that speed to customer and the voice of the customer all the way back down the value chain. Thank you very much for your time.